Okay, welcome everybody. This is Erik Core from Punk Glow Magazine, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Amy Jo Doe from Amy Jo Doe and the Spangles. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, everybody. Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Muy bien. Oh, hablas español. Claro,
Poquito.
in California, it's half and half, right? Is it
There's
pretty
a lot of
Spanglish?
Spanish here, and I'm embarrassed by how little I know. Um, when I go to the taqueria every day, they teach me more Spanish because I go to,
Oh, okay.
and so I learned Feliz Año Nuevo the other day.
Ah, Feliz Año
Yes.
Nuevo.
So I'm slowly learning,
You
but I
need to
can,
say, if they say, oh, do you like this one? Say, it's de puta madre. And they'll be like, ooh.
I know that one.
Oh, you know that one.
I do
Ah.
know that one. Yes. Yeah. No, they've been really friendly to me. I don't think I'm going to try that one. Um,
No, they'll love that.
yeah.
You're not offending them. You're saying, oh, this is good, good, good.
All right. Well, hey, it's great to have you here today. I was listening to your album, and it was funny because the song that really jumped out to me, and that's the one that you have the video for, is called "Take a Stand." And
Oh, yeah.
that song, there were three things that popped up for me on that song.
Uh-huh.
One is it reminded me there was a little bit of the Go-Go's in there for me, which I love the Go-Go's.
Yeah, me
And
too.
then there was I could feel a little bit of early the band X, like
Ah,
some of that energy of that. And
uh-huh.
then I also went the next Tarantino movie, this is his soundtrack.
Woohoo! Oh, that's
So
a real compliment.
so
Thank
I don't
you.
know him, but I'm just putting that out there in the universe saying because it just had a really fun energy to it. I liked it, and it just was like I was like, oh my God, I could so see that as part of that. So I guess let's kind of
Thank
just start
you.
with that song. Like, what inspired that?
Well, it was funny because that's the title track of our latest EP. Well, latest EP. It was about a year ago or two now. But those songs were written, I wrote them in COVID, during COVID. And I think a lot of people said, wow, it's a lot more punkier, a lot more rock than a lot of the other stuff. And I think it's for me, it was not a call to arms because I'm a pacifist, but a call to stand up for ourselves. You know, I felt like uh the fact that it started with a march, I wanted it a bit more military, but we're only a four-piece band. And I don't want to go down that line of music anyway, but for me it was like just saying enough is enough, you know,
Mhm.
and not even on a global level. I think on a personal level as well, is like, come on, stop messing around with yourself. Enough is enough. Let's let's start taking this seriously. Let's start living our best life. You know, stop making excuses. Stop blaming everyone else. Stop at the end when there's coming to end to the finale with the when it gets to the instrumental. I say the people came down into the plaza, they took off their blindfolds because they were tired of being told what to do, tired of being told what to think, tired
Mhm.
of being told who to be, you know. So it's kind of talking about repression on a global scale, but also, you know, I think when I'm writing lyrics, I like a lot of writers, we go from personal experiences. So stop repressing yourself, no?
Yeah.
Stop making excuses for yourself and get out there and do it. You know, it's easy to say, especially as an underground artist, oh, but you know, we don't get many plays on Spotify. I haven't got many listeners, I haven't got many followers. That shouldn't matter. That they're excuses. Do you write your songs, you do your thing and see what happens, you know. Even if one, like, I'm so glad you've said that you like that video because I we love that video. It was just recorded while we were recording it. And I really like it, but a lot of people have said, "Oh, it's not very good."
I enjoyed it. I like the energy of the song is great. And now you're in Spain, but you're originally English. Or I
Yeah,
suppose you're
yeah.
still English.
I'm still English, but
Yeah.
you know, nowadays I'm not so proud of that. And now thanks to Brexit, when I come back to Spain, in fact, I just came back off the holidays on the first. You know, I have to join the other queue because we're no longer part of Europe. So it takes ages to get back into my own country. A real
And
pain
I
in the.
wasn't going to use the B word, but I know that
Ooh,
all my
ah, it's
British
terrible.
friends, that's very sensitive, and it's been a
Oh,
disruption, and I'm
it's
so sorry
absolutely
about that.
diabolical. Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, I came here almost 19 years ago for 6 months. I was on the way to Mexico, actually. I always wanted to live
Hmm.
in Mexico. I lived for a year in El Salvador, and I just love the vibe. I love Central America. I don't
Yeah.
really want to live in Europe. I find it a bit I don't know. Well, especially in them days, I lived in Asia and I lived in outside of Europe, and I found it a lot more wholesome, a lot more real. But here I am 19 years later, still haven't been to Mexico.
Ah, well, so I was in Madrid a couple of years ago,
Oh,
and
did you like it?
I absolutely fell in love with it. So how I wound up there was my husband and I wanted to take a trip, and we wanted to go somewhere that neither of us had a connection to.
Uh-huh.
So when I was little, I used to live in Germany, and I've been
Oh,
to
wow.
different parts of Europe, and he grew up in China. So like we had these areas where like, okay, those are off limits.
Okay.
And so neither of us knew anything about Spain.
Wow.
So we agreed to go to Spain. And so we only had a week, so we did Madrid and Barcelona. And I have to say, Madrid is one of my all-time favorite cities. It feels like no place I've ever been before.
Mm,
There's a depth and a richness to it. And
yeah.
and it was so much fun being surrounded by like just immersed in the language and the culture and
Yeah. How long ago were you here?
oh, I want to say it was probably around oh gosh, probably about 10 years ago now. Because I remember we
Okay.
were there right around this time because we wound up in the middle of the Three Kings
Oh,
parade,
oh God.
which was
Yeah.
overwhelming. Like we actually got there we were in this crossroads that turned into a crush because I remember like holding my arms out because there were these little kids and we're
Yeah.
like there were so many people massing. It was so intense.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, 10 years ago, it was a lot better. I mean, at 19 years ago, coming from London, it was like a village for me.
okay.
But I have to say now, like a lot of capital cities and a lot of big cities in Europe, it's become very touristy. It was
Ah,
a cheap option because it didn't have a beach. And everyone always used to go to Barcelona, but now it's become so busy. I mean, it's all the rents have gone up, which is the worst
okay.
problem for a lot of people. It's becoming. I imagine there's place like San Francisco. I've heard so much about.
Oh, so that's right. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area and it's nuts.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, I live in this little cave here. It's like a loft type thing. I'm
Yeah.
still paying very little rent, but I'm, now surrounded. If I want to live on my own now, luckily I've got a lovely landlord. I'm gonna have to pay double, and I just can't afford it. So, I'm gonna have to leave Madrid sooner or later, unless I get a record deal or people start listening more on Spotify. I don't know how even how it works nowadays.
Yeah.
Do they have record deals? But most of the ones I've seen, you have to pay for yourself.
Yeah, it's I think the only way people are making money in music anymore is touring and selling merchandise.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Totally. Getting,
pretty much
I
it.
think YouTube's a world that I've just started discovering because I've also got a project for kids music.
Okay.
Um, and you can make money on YouTube, can't you, as well? But you have to be there all the time. If you're trying to write songs and rehearse and do the live stuff, you're right. The only way to really make money is tour it and sell stuff at the gigs. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard because it's like I think for a lot of artists it's that life on the road is that can become a full-time job and then it's like, well then where's the rest of my life?
Yeah. Yeah.
And people
Totally.
get
Yeah.
lost in that world.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, one of the, it's a double-edged sword always. But Madrid, there is so much offer. There's so many gigs going on. In fact, people are laughing now because since COVID, everyone was locked up for a year. So everyone's writing out, all the bands are writing new albums.
Yeah.
They've got new albums. And there was one weekend here, and I think they had to put Blur in one of the smaller concerts because we had Blur, Guns N' Roses, some other band, really big. All the
Yeah.
stadiums had their own thing, and there's just not enough people for the concerts. Apart from the fact that less people go to concerts nowadays, but there's just not the public for so much music. which is on one hand wonderful, but you know, it's hard. If you're underground, it's hard. You're always kind of, tirando, as they say here.
Yes, no, I've been playing the underground music scene all my life, and
Oh, really? Are you a musician as well?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ah, okay. Ah, that's why you're doing this as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
and
and is it the same in California?
yeah, it's I mean it just you you have to. I mean I think I told you I'm in my 50s, and it's like I play music because I love to play music, and I write music because I love to write music, and it's part of who I am. It's part of my life, but um to actually think about making a living on it these days is ridiculous out here. I mean,
Mm,
I think for established artists, they can do it because they've got that network going on. But for a lot of newer
yeah.
artists, the dream is there, but it's really difficult. It's very
It's really
difficult.
hard, yeah. And it used to
Yeah.
be different. Well, we're kind of the same generation. Before, it used to be the A&R guys going
Yeah.
around, and they'd take you and say, right, lads, we're gonna do this, here's the money, you don't have to worry about anything. And now, we've written to loads of different agencies, and everyone says the same thing. Oh, we love your music. Great. Here's the packages, and it's like you pay basically.
Yeah.
They're management services, which is fair enough on the one hand, but it's a very different world to what I knew when I was growing up,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
funny. Years ago, I was working at a men's clothing store, and this
Wow.
guy who was selling shoes used to be an A&R rep for one of the major labels. And so we got chatting one day, right? And he's all like,
Yeah.
and he said, my life before this was amazing. Like he said, I
Yeah.
had the perfect life, right? He's like, I would drive around and I would go to record stores and concerts, and he said it was incredible, right? And he
Yeah.
said, as everything started to change at the record labels, he said it was like watching the end of the dinosaur era.
Oh
Because he
no.
said we would watch like these different dinosaurs die, and we would just go, well, at least it's not me. Because he said
Right.
nobody knew what to do.
How interesting. Yeah.
And then he said all of a sudden we were all gone, you know?
Wow. Oh, it's so sad in a way. But at least we've lived that.
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't a musician in them days. I got into it quite late. But I love what you said. I think as an artist, you have to be very clear about what your motivation is. And for most of us, I mean, we'd all love to make money from it, but I think as artists, we do it because we have to. We're born to, and
yeah,
whether you believe it on a more spiritual level, which I do, I think we're channels for something. So our reward will come later.
yeah. Well, and, it's funny because it's like I was playing a show a couple months ago, and this person I was playing with said, "Oh, my husband's so jealous that we're playing with you." And I'm like, "Seriously?" And she goes, "Yeah, he got one of your CDs in Spain back in the 90s, and he's such a big fan." And I was like, so
Wow.
it's like I think we often have an impact in places we don't realize also. And
Amen. Yeah.
and and there are a lot of people doing a lot of just wonderfully creative things. And I think that in some ways, the lack of music business has created a bigger underground scene.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Yeah, because like this interview, it's thanks to the digital w- uh, arena, we're more in contact.
Yeah.
You can listen to more stuff, you can chat to people. Maybe one day we could organize a California, Madrid,
Oh, I would
Spain
love that.
tour. That would be amazing. Is it punk? You have to give me the name of your band
Yeah, well,
so I can.
I'm playing a couple. One's a glam punk band called Tits on a Bowl,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, I'm the Viking princess for that one. That's a whole different thing.
Wow.
She's fabulous. And then the other one is just Erik Core, and it's more acoustic punk, and I think we might actually be coming to Europe this summer. So it's
Oh, well, please come to Spain. Let me know, because
I would
actually our
love
bass
to.
player he's also our manager, our production manager. He organizes gigs. He's got
Oh
a
my God,
management company.
playing
Um,
Spain would be a dream come true for me. I
oh,
love
let's do
Spain.
it. Let's organize it.
And then I have to say, one of the best things I've ever seen in my life was in Madrid, and it
What
was a
was that?
flamenco show.
Oh, yeah,
And
mate.
I stopped by, I saw a Spanish guitar school one day when I was walking down around Madrid, and I stopped in, and I spoke almost no Spanish, and they spoke, almost no English, and I just said flamenco, and they wrote down Plaza del Sol, Cardamomo.
Ah, wow, okay.
And they said, and they just were pointing, they like, go, 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 right? And I went there and it was life-changing. I mean, it was just the I can't even describe it. It was just because it was one of those things where it was so beautiful and emotional and so transcendent that it was it's an experience I wish everybody could have.
Oh, wow, how lovely. Yeah, no, it is. It's incredible. Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of especially younger rock bands in Spain, they try to copy, well, rock, especially
Yeah,
Brit rock and, the American rock bands, and they sing in English with terrible accents. And they're like, oh, yeah, because we haven't got the culture here. They're so envious of the British legacy of rock and roll.
yeah,
And you think, wow, but flamenco is something very, very special that is nowhere else.
yes,
Now there's a lot more fusion. I mean, Rosalia is an incredible artist who is very flamenco, although a lot of flamencos are very purist and it has to be pure flamenco, the palos. But there's a lot of fusion now, and it's that energy that you talk about. It's not necessarily even the genre of music, it's arte, it's pure art.
yeah, yeah. I love that. And that was one thing that surprised me in Spain is I kept hearing like American and British music everywhere I went. I was expecting to hear Spanish music, and I was so bummed.
Yeah, I know, it's really disappointing as a foreigner, like, oh God, we want to hear something different. Oh no, we don't have any. Like, what? You don't have any?
Well, it's like so I get off the plane. The first thing I see is a giant advertisement for Burger King, and I thought, oh fuck. Where am I? Did I get off on did I wind up
Yeah.
back in the States, you know? And then,
Oh, it's
but
Spain.
yeah, but
Yeah.
then once I got in on the ground, it was amazing. Not now you were an English teacher. I I I,
Yeah.
I read
Well,
that.
I was a teacher. I was an infant school teacher for many
Okay,
years because basically all I wanted to do was travel. And I saw it as a good way to travel. You got paid, they helped you sort out your flats. And when I first came here, I was a teacher in a school for 2.5 years. Then I'd retired from teaching and just taught English classes. And yeah, it was almost like the universe brought me into where I should be, which was in music.
nice.
Yeah. I still do a few English classes to get a bit of money, cash in hand.
Oh no, unfortunately, we all need that.
We do, I'm afraid, yeah.
So well, as a teacher, I'm also a teacher, so I have to ask,
Oh,
like,
are
what
you?
are you
Oh,
reading
okay.
these days?
Sorry?
What are you reading these days?
I've just literally finished an amazing book that my friend lent me. I'll show you. You know,
Ah,
K Tempest? Have you heard of K Tempest?
Kate Tempest. I don't know.
She's
What's the name of the book?
incredible. She's a poet.
Oh no.
Oh my God, you've got to read this,
All right,
Eric.
let me
It's
write that.
brilliant.
I'm gonna write that down.
It's called On Connection.
Okay.
I've literally just finished it, and then I've just come back from the UK, so every time I go home to England, usually, I go to all the charity shops and buy loads of secondhand English books. So, what am I reading at the moment? He's called it's like a really funny detective series. Oh, I can't find it. Moon Over Soho, it's called, and it's like an adult Harry Potter.
Oh,
Aaron something of
fun.
it. Have you
What's
heard of him?
do
Oh,
you know
he's
the author's
brilliant
name?
too. Aaron something of it. Let me see if I can find it very quickly.
Yeah, I would love that.
I can't find it. I actually hate Harry Potter, but he's a policeman working with the wizard branch, and it's a lot more adult, but
Yeah.
fantastical. When I find the book, I'll send you a photo.
Oh, I'd love that. It sounds wonderfully. I love cheesy stuff like that.
Oh, me too. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, also, well, because I've always got lots of books on the go. I don't have a television, you see, so I love to read. I'm reading The Artist's Way. I'm on week 11. Have you
Oh,
ever
how was
done?
people have talked about that for years.
Amazing. This is the second time I've done it now. I did it 8 years ago. It
Okay.
totally changed my life.
All right.
I'm going to hold this up for your viewers because
Yeah.
um, I think everybody should do this. It's a 12-week course. It's the best gift you can give yourself for the new year, ladies and gentlemen, by Julia Cameron.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible. 12 weeks.
I've heard about that for years, so I guess maybe
Really.
this is a sign that
Well, this is no coincidence that we're here today.
it's time. It's time.
What are you reading at the moment?
Oh my gosh, I'm reading. So I usually do like multiple things at a time, and I like fall into like just I start obsessing about things,
Oh, okay.
right? So I just finished a bunch of James Clavell novels. He wrote the
Mm.
Shogun series.
Oh no, I've never heard of that.
Oh, it's fun. It's and then I've been reading uh Ken Follett. I don't know if you know.
Oh yeah, I've never read any of his stuff, but obviously
Oh,
people.
I just finished the Century series, and
Okay.
it's incredible. He follows these families, a Russian family, an English family, American, and a German family before World War One, and that's the first book through World War One. The second book is through World War Two, and then the third book is through the Cold War. And
Wow.
so he follows these threads of these families, and then of course the families are interconnecting at points, and it's it's
Wow.
it's really incredible. It's like historical fiction, but he really and he's also he's a thriller writer, so he makes it really engaging and fun. And
Oh wow. And does he stay true to the
yes,
historical facts?
yeah, he does a good
Oh,
job with that. Yeah, he's it's I'm really impressed with how he does that. And
oh,
um,
I think I'm going to read some Ken Follett because I
oh,
see him all the time, but I thought it was all a bit. I didn't know if it was my kind of thing, but it sounds
oh,
great.
he's fun. I think you'd enjoy it. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
I'm reading The Midnight of Good. Let's see, it's Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Which
Wow.
has been kind of fun. It's based in Savannah, Georgia, which is supposed to be this beautiful city, and that's kind of what brought me into the book was just I wanted to read the descriptions.
Yeah.
That's why I was actually kind of just going for that.
Oh wow.
So that's kind
Oh.
of what I'm geeking out on right now.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
When you get time to read, I imagine you're quite busy, are you?
Well, I actually have I have stacks of books, and my New Year's resolution is going through my books and giving away the stuff that I'm not using right now because
Yeah.
it's getting uncomfortable. Let's put it that way. It's
They take up a lot of space, books and records.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And they're extremely important. And
They are, yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never even tried a digital Kindle.
I like it and the place I like it is before bed. Uh,
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah.
what it is that I don't want a lot of light on. And so
Mm,
it's got a little light in it. So then I'll just read a little bit of fiction before bed.
ah,
And so that's
okay.
like what I fall asleep to.
Okay. You don't need the big light on to read the book. Okay, that's a
Right.
good
Because
point.
otherwise, I'm old enough that I need my bifocals and a lot of light, and it becomes a
Yeah.
production, and then it's no longer about sleeping. It's like I'm committed.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So Um, so let me ask you then, because I mean I know that you come from kind of a famous musical family.
Hmm.
Your brother's Peter Doherty with the Libertines.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, how has being part of that family and have you ever collaborated with him? I mean, how is that? Has
Nothing officially, but when we were kids, we were always singing and writing together. And we did a gig. Actually, it was just before COVID in the town where he's living now with his wife. Um, and we've always been very close, but no, we've never done anything yet. I think I have a feeling we will in the future. I think that's something that's going to happen eventually. When we're together, always singing and writing songs together.
That'd be really
Um,
cool. I'd like to hear that.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's funny as well because we're so similar, but obviously as artists, our music is totally different. He's very, very poetic. I mean, he's always been a very prolific writer and a fantastic writer, well before he could play or sing. And that just came out, because songs are poetry to music, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
Well, the good ones. Um, and he's just an amazing writer, actually. I think people, know the Baby Shambles, and they know a lot of his songs, and obviously his reputation for being very rock and roll. But if you sit down and read the lyrics, very, very powerful. He's a wordsmith. Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of interesting just because you spent this time in Spain too, so you've been able to cultivate like something different and separate also.
Mm, totally. And in fact, I do a lot of gigs on my own, and I call them urban poesia. And it's just like I'm destroying two languages at the same time. I play a lot on words. It's totally in Spanglish.
Yeah.
I use set phrases, and I play in the. In fact, when you come over, I hope you will make it to Madrid. There's one great little taverna, which is a great place to play. Um, and I play there a lot. It's a little templo of music here in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
The Bodega Aguila, if anyone's around in Spain and they know it, you should go there. It's a lot of jazz and blues and but it's a good place. It's a magical place. And they pay you to play.
I have to,
Woohoo!
that's one thing I love
Amazing.
about Europe is they actually when you show up, they're like, "Oh, the band's here," versus America,
Yeah.
where it's like, "Oh God, the band's here."
Oh no, is it like that?
Oh yeah, in America, it's always like it's more like the problem has just shown up,
Yeah.
right? Where in Europe, they're like, "Oh, welcome," let's,
Oh,
"Oh,
well,
we
I
made
think
you
it depends
dinner,"
where in Europe. Yeah.
it's and
I mean, in Germany, you get treated like royalty. And I play in Belgium quite a lot. Because basically, talking about the money again, quite often I go to a place and I play with musicians from there because, I'm kind of free and I can go off and do things and you can sleep on wherever if you're on your own. And it's amazing. They like you say, they welcome you, they give you dinner,
yeah.
they pay you. Yeah, you're treated like royalty.
I remember one of the nicest places we ever played was actually, I mean, we had Germany has been amazing. Like they're so kind to us, but Poland
Oh,
was actually one of the best shows we ever played also because
wow.
next morning they actually had us come back and the owner made breakfast for us of the club. Yeah.
Wow.
With that said, is I've actually had friends in Germany who've made breakfast for us the next day after playing too. So I mean it's the European
Oh,
hospitality is just so incredible. I mean they just it's really it's a very special thing.
yeah. No, it is. It's nice to be appreciated.
It is.
We are doing something special, and it's a physical thing, an emotional thing, and I think a lot of people take it for granted. Maybe because there's so many bands, and they're like, "Oh God, here's another one." Sometimes I feel that here especially some of the clubs, they're live music venues, but they're obviously not interested in the live music. All they care about is how many people you're going to bring through the door. You could be
Yeah.
playing punk, rock, blues, jazz. They don't really give a shit what you're playing. All they want is um, people spending money at the bar, and a lot of these places are not even geared up for live music, and people very rarely come. You have to bring the crowd, and then the live music stops. It opens as a bar of copas, which is basically I can't think of the English word, but gin tonic, late night club at say
Oh, okay.
midnight, and the place is full. And no one's even listening to the music. They're all shouting over the music. Uh, People aren't even dancing. It's not even about the music. It's just about
Oh yeah.
buying tonics and shouting at each other till 6 a.m.
Well, it's kind of like here, DJs have become the rock stars.
Yeah, totally.
Like people are like, oh my God, this DJ's playing. And you're like, well, what have they actually made?
Yeah, they're playing other people's music.
Yeah, but that's what people are excited about. So, more power to them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, this guy that I've spoke, our bass player who does so much. He's a great guy. You should interview him actually. He does so much. He's got so many hats. He is also a DJ, and quite often when we've gone on tour in places outside of Spain, he sells us as the package. So, right, we'll do the live show,
Yeah.
and then I'll DJ till 3 or 5 in the morning, and he gets paid for that, and we might not make really any money. So we all have to stay with him till 6 o'clock in the morning. It gets a bit messy, but it's like, that's what they're interested in.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a great DJ, I have to say. But yeah,
But it's a different world, it's for
it's
sure.
a different world. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you currently working on? Are there like any like music things that you're focusing on? Is there a tour
Yeah, we
that you're working
we
on?
we've booked the studio for early February because we want to make a second album, which has been a long time coming. So we're gonna put some of I think Take a Stand's definitely gonna be on there and some of those songs. And we were gonna record some new ones, put it together as an album, and then tour it. I'd love to go to Germany. I'd love to go to the UK. Um, and just give it a shot. Because like we were talking about before, sometimes you get to those moments, don't you? You must get them too. They're like dips, and you're like, what's the point? It's all digital. I hate Spotify. I but it's the way it is. So like, well, no, let's do it. Let's, let's try and make an album. I want to print it. I want to have
Yeah.
a vinyl record, even if I spend all my savings on it, and we'll go out and we'll tour it and do it. We're still old school. And hopefully learn a bit more about Spotify and push it on there as well, and Instagram. I refuse to go on TikTok, but uh on all the other, what you got to work it. You got to learn how to do all that. It's a full-time job as well,
Yeah,
social media.
it's a lot. I mean, I don't know how to use half of it. So it's, like
No.
TikTok I've never really done.
Also, it goes everything against everything I believe in, really, like watching 15-second clips. In fact, I was just stood on the metro behind a woman. I was being a bit nosy. Because she had her headphones on,
Yeah.
and she was literally just watching like 15 minutes clips of dogs
Oh, you mean like
doing
15
it
seconds?
on TikTok. Yeah,
Yeah.
15 seconds, sorry. I'm like, really? This is what people are, and lots of artists and DJs have become uh well, famous on Spotify and that, because that you get your music on one of these 15-second clips, and then
Yeah.
people click to see what the song is. Um so, but I think the thing is, as an artist, if you've got something to talk about, like a second album or a tour, then it generates chat to sell on the social media, doesn't it? So, you
Yeah.
know,
When
we
again,
got we got to play the game somehow.
yeah, and you never know when something you do is going to touch somebody. You never know when it's going to make a difference.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's for me the most important. And it sounds a bit cheesy and old fashioned. Before all our concerts, I go around all the audience and I draw hearts on their hands.
Oh, nice.
Because it's a nice way, especially in the smaller venues, it's like a nice way to welcome people. And,
Yeah.
we haven't got money to give everyone a chupito of a tequila or something. So I like to draw and I always tell this story that I remember going to this one place and everyone was a bit like, "Brr." They were only there because we were playing with the band, a local band. They all said, I don't want a heart, they look at you ridiculously. And at the end of the gig, the ones that had said they didn't want a heart on their hand came and bought the album. They wanted a
Nice.
heart on their hand.
Aw.
Oh, for me, we didn't make any money at all, but well, only from selling the albums. But for me, that's the greatest thing. Like you're touching, it's music. Let the music talk, really.
Yeah.
And like you say, that someone might come up and say, "Wow, they bought your album in Spain," and that's beautiful. That's powerful, no?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the thing, you just don't know.
You just don't
And
know. Yeah.
I guess I always think about this as like growing up, so much music made a difference in my life.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons I keep making music because it's just like I know
Oh.
like it's I think like you were saying, like the poetry, the art, the like I think as musicians we express emotions and we express feelings in a way that people go, oh, I feel understood. I feel heard. I feel
Mm,
listened to. And I think that's so people need that.
they do. Yeah, more than ever, actually. Yeah. And like you say as well, sometimes you just don't know. You could be touching lives. It could be on a playlist in Spotify, and maybe you won't get any money from it, but someone might hear that in a faraway country and you might just save their day. Or
Yeah.
you might make them rethink about something so they don't do X, which could, we don't know. We could be saving lives.
But you just that's like you just don't know. It's
Yeah.
that one
It's
person
beautiful
where you
to think
can,
like that. Next time I have a slump, I'm going to think, wow, I might have saved someone's life today in, you know, God
yeah,
knows where.
you might be that might be the moment where they go, oh, yeah, things aren't so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know. Um, well, are there any bands that you're excited about right now?
I have to say, I mean, I'm just looking at my record collection here. I listen to a lot of old stuff. I listen to a lot of Motown. I'm really into Otis Redding this
Oh yeah.
week. I love the old stuff, but I've discovered a band. They might be an old band, but Sammy Ray and the Friends, is she called?
I don't know
Kick
that
It
band.
To Me. I can't think of her name. And another one on the Rainbow. I'm just going to quickly look on Spotify. Another
Oh,
one on the Joe somebody in the Rainbow, that he's got a song called Old Love. And I love to put it on in the morning. I'll tell you now. You might have heard. I'd never heard of them before. They just came up on Spotify when I was Joe Hartler and the Rainbow Seekers. Have you heard of them?
The Rainbow Seekers sound familiar. I'll have to look that up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now. That sounds really interesting.
And the other one is she's Sammy Ray and the Friends. It's kind of she's got some beautiful songs.
Okay, cool. I'll look that up too. That sounds fun. I love Otis Redding.
Oh, me too. Yeah. And Bowie and Stevie Wonder I love.
Yeah.
And just because I've just been at home as well, and I did a bit of a road trip with my dad, so we were listening to all the old Motown stuff, the OJs, the Supremes, the Pet Shop Boys. Love the Pet Shop Boys.
Not quite Motown, but definitely classics.
And I went to see, in fact, they stopped the concert short because I think he got a bit annoyed by the crowd. Someone kept throwing a Palestinian scarf and he didn't want to keep commenting. So
Um,
the Sleaford Mops, have you
oh
heard of?
my God, I love them.
Oh, amazing. Wow.
I feel
Amazing.
so, I was so bummed because I had tickets to see them and I got COVID.
Oh
And
no.
the song I really wanted to hear them do was DIY.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite songs. Oh my, just the time, like,
Oh.
hi mate, I think you just dropped a tattoo. There's something about what he said that I was like, oh my God, you just nailed it.
The guy's a genius. Have you heard their new version of West End Girls?
I haven't. I have need to because I mean I think they're absolutely brilliant. I love the minimalism of what they do.
It's amazing. Yeah, but they really feel it. You know, you just think it's a
Mhm.
guy with a laptop and the singer, but their energy is enormous.
Yeah.
It's two geniuses, and he was just bouncing the whole time. And I mean, when I say he left the stage early, they'd been playing for about an hour and a half almost.
Yeah.
But it was a shame. He literally just left. And
Yeah.
then explained it on Spotify. He was just getting fed up, you know. People
I
are
think I read
rude
about that
sometimes.
actually. Yeah, it's yeah, they're
People are
really
rude.
and just lyrically they're a fun band. I mean, they're just really
Amazing.
thoughtful and
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Yeah. And very, for me, that's a powerful poet because he can be very scathing and very critical, but in such a light-hearted way.
Yeah.
He's not, and I think with the music as well, it's not doom and gloom. And he is moaning about the situation and the social injustice and whatever, but not like, you don't you come out of there on a total high.
Oh yeah, there's a playfulness to it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. Which I think is very clever, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think if I may, I think the British have always been good at stuff like that though too. Like the tongue
Yeah.
in cheek and just kind of that kind of like that sarcastic, kind of that biting.
Yeah. It's quite a lot tongue in cheek, but are they being sarcastic? But I think they really, yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I always
Yeah.
enjoyed that. So
Yeah, it is. It's yeah. I think because no one likes to take themselves too seriously. But they do, but they don't, but they do, but they don't.
who knows?
Oh, but exactly. There it lays. Leave it there.
Yes. Well, cool. This is great. Thanks so much for taking the time to for meeting with us today. And
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best social media?
Probably Instagram or even Facebook, dare I say. I've been told that's for old people, but I'm still on Facebook. But on Instagram, we've got Amy Jodo and the Spangles,
And I
or
just
I
found you on there today, so yes.
yeah. Oh, please follow us. And I'm Amy Joe. I think I'm Pig Lady 73. I'm also on there, but yeah, get in touch. I love to hear from people, and
So
you know,
Pig Lady 73.
yeah.
I love it.
My alter ego, the Pig Lady.
Well, I have the Viking Princess, so it's
I can't wait to see the Bright Viking Princess. Wow. And
I,
what do? You sing and play, or?
well, in that band I just sing, in the other band I sing and play guitar. So,
Oh,
but the
okay.
Viking Princess carries a giant battle axe, so she doesn't really have time to play a guitar.
No, of course not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's busy with other things. So, but hey,
Yeah,
this has been an absolute pleasure, and
it really has.
you know, I know that your day is winding down and my day is starting
Yeah.
up. So I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you very much.
And
Have a
I look
great
forward to
day.
seeing you in Europe someday.
Oh, please. Well, listen, please come through Madrid.
I would absolutely, that would be a dream come
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I'm serious. We'll talk afterwards, but yeah, let us know. We'll
Cool.
try and organize something. Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks so much, Amy Joe. That's so nice to meet you.
Okay.
All
Take
right.
good care.
Take care.
Bye. Happy
Bye-bye.
New Year.
Bye-bye. Happy New Year.